Hey there, how's it going? This is definitely not Alaska. This is Low Gap Park outside of the town of Ukiah in Mendocino County, Northern California, on a very hot early summer's day, mid-June. Not exactly summer quite yet, another week to go, but 99 degrees is about 37 degrees Celsius. I'm going to get started walking this way towards a creek and into the shade. And so I am a travel vlogger, and I am from this area and taking a break from my world travels for a little bit, and thought that I would tell some old travel and adventure stories of mine from my past 30 years of traveling around the world and exploring the US, working in national parks, etc. And so this one is from Denali National Park, Alaska. I've worked there 4 different times in 1991, 1992, 1995, and 2017. Alpine Trail, 0.8 miles, 1.3 kilometers. Trail ascends 1,010 feet in 1 mile, less than a mile. So this is the Eielson Visitor Center. And we have a 45-minute break here, and so I'm going to hike up this trail here. So Mount Denali is out there, unfortunately covered by the clouds. It's only about 35 miles away, so you could see it just like amazingly from here if the clouds weren't there. So gonna hike up this trail here, get some better views. Hello. It is a amazing area of both mountains and tundra, and of course the tallest mountain in North America is there, Mount Denali, previously called Mount McKinley. So a nice little creek down there. This is prime rattlesnake territory, so keeping my eyes and ears open. The one good thing about rattlesnakes is they have a rattle on them, and so they tend to warn you when you're getting too close. And so this story is from summer of 1992. And for anyone who has seen the movie or read the book Into the Wild about Chris McCandless, that is the same summer that he was there. At the time that this story takes place, then he was out there living in that bus. I believe he was still alive at that time, because this was like maybe early summer, and I was a University of Alaska college student. I went to the University of Alaska Fairbanks for 1 year, from 1990 to 1991, worked in Denali National Park summer of 91, and then I transferred to the University of Alaska in Juneau in fall of 91, and I was there from 91 to spring of 92. And then I took a ferry from Juneau to Haines on the Alaskan Panhandle. Juneau is on the Panhandle, Haines is on the Panhandle, and there are ferries that go around there. And from there, I hitchhiked north into Canada, and then back into Alaska and to Denali National Park, where I had a job lined up for the summer. And so it turns out that that was about a week after Chris McCandless was hitchhiking that same route. This was like early May, I think, of 92. And so Chris McCandless was just kind of getting settled into that bus at that time, and then I started my job and was out there working for a concessions company. I think I was doing housekeeping that summer, and taking off on the weekends and going on backpacking trips deep in the park, out on the tundra, and then doing all sorts of hiking on days off or after work or whatever. And so this was not a overnight backpacking trip, but a day hike that I did with some friends. And we went to this area kind of in the southern part of the park, off of the main highway that goes between Fairbanks and Anchorage. And so this group of us that all worked at the park got together to do a day hike, like going up into these steep mountains, but it was all kind of tundra, like wide open tundra, but then with these spectacular mountain ridges around, and it was really beautiful. We got some amazing views from up there. And so we hike up this mountain and get onto this kind of flat tundra plain. And there is a drop off behind it, not like a sheer cliff, but a steep drop off. You wouldn't want to go down that way. It was less steep the way that we came up. And so we hike an hour or whatever up to this one point and stop to take a break, have a snack, drink some water, and take a picture. So I'm going to show you this picture. Take a good look and notice that everyone is staring at the camera. There's somebody behind the camera, and one person has a kind of quizzical look on their face, kind of scrunched eyes and like kind of looking up a little bit. And that person is looking beyond the camera person because that person has just seen a grizzly. It was behind the photographer, not right there, quite a long ways away, but it was open tundra. And basically at the exact point that this photo was taken, a millisecond afterwards, then that guy says, "Holy crap, I think that's a grizzly out there." And everything changes and the whole group of people jumps up and look at the bear, and we see that it is galloping towards us. It is like lumbering through the tundra, this massive, massive grizzly. Now, grizzlies are big to begin with, but there are different sizes of grizzlies, and this was on the bigger spectrum of grizzly size. Even though it was still quite a long ways away, we could still tell that this thing was huge, and it was coming right at us. It had seen us. It was, you know, like focused on us. Like, what is that? Is that dinner? And so we all get up and start moving off back in the direction that we had come from. We couldn't go back down that steep cliff right behind us because it was too steep. And so we had to kind of go sideways. And so we're like going this way, and the bear is out there coming straight towards us. And so in a situation like this, there are things you should do and things you should not do. So I'll mention those. Number one is don't run, because that will trigger their predatory instincts. Even though grizzlies mostly feed on berries and fish and roots, if they have the chance to get some meat, they will quite possibly go for it. And so you don't want to try to outrun a grizzly because they are much faster than you, and running will likely cause them to try to run after you. And so you move slowly away and make noise. Yell, raise your arms over your head. If you have like a jacket or something, open up your jacket to make yourself look bigger, and yell in a deep voice, backing away and waving your arms and not acting like something that they would be likely to eat. Now, in the moment when these things actually happen, then you don't necessarily have time to kind of go through a checklist of do this and don't do this. You're in like panic mode, and you don't necessarily think of the right things to do. Now, fortunately, none of us ran. We just kind of started walking slowly off and raising our arms, yelling. And luckily it was a group of us. If you're just one person, then you definitely don't have as good of a chance. And apparently the bear just lost interest, decided that we weren't dinner, weren't anything that it was familiar with that it could actually get. So it got maybe close as 50 yards, 100 yards, something like that. I forget exactly. It's all relative whether it was close or still a ways away, but when you are on open tundra with a predator of that size bearing down on you, then 100 yards, 200 yards, it's all way too close when it actually sees you, and it is not just rooting around. I've seen bears lots of other times in the wild in Alaska and Canada especially, and oftentimes you'll see them and they're rooting around for grubs, digging into the ground, or just kind of wandering another direction or whatever. But when they are looking at you and running at you, then you are freaked out. And so it got relatively close and just kind of meandered off in a different direction, and that was it. That was the end of the confrontation, and we just continued on our way and hiked back down the mountain, and that was the end of our hike, and all was well. So we lucked out there. Most often then, people do luck out when there is a bear encounter of some sort. Even if they are interested in you, then most likely they don't end up attacking. Of course, sometimes they do. I think there have been no deaths in Denali Park from grizzlies, to the best of my understanding, although that is from, when I was working there more than 20 years ago. A couple once had a bear come down on them and get up close, and they did what you have to do next if trying to scare them away doesn't work, which is they got down on the ground and played dead with their backpacks on their back. And the bear played with them for, I don't know, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that, for a long time, of them just stuck on the ground, and the bear just kind of messing around with them, batting them around or something like that, but not attacking them, not trying to eat them. And then it just wandered off. So you can see a disc golf basket there. There's a 18-hole disc golf course here. And then this is the tee off for another one up there. And so to answer a likely question, then no, we did not have bear spray with us. I think for one thing, it wasn't as popular back then. It wasn't as available. But the last time that I was in Alaska in 2017, then I did buy bear spray. And so I definitely recommend it if it is a very, bear heavy area. Then it is better safe than sorry, and a good way to possibly prevent a bear attack. So that is the end of the story, and it is also the end of my time here in Ukiah visiting my mom and stepdad. Tomorrow I am starting a road trip with a friend, so stay tuned. It will probably be a bit of a wait. Not going to be posting regularly while I'm camping and stuff, so more videos coming soon from somewhere. Not exactly sure how much filming I'm actually going to be doing, so take it easy. See ya.